Hello, PodFam, and hello, Rachel. How are you today?
I'm doing all right, Laura. I'm doing all right. I don't know where this episode is coming from, but it's going to be very chaotic
Yeah. I
and
don't know
summer themed.
why. Why did you choose this? This is like, we know nothing at the moment about
I
this.
I see, to be honest, I just find it very fascinating to talk about because I just don't understand where these terms come from.
True. This is
Like
definitely true.
again, this has just been like a common theme. I have no solutions, just questions
Right on.
here.
Yep.
Um, but really, I think where this came from, and this is just going to spoil what we're talking about if the title didn't already, is I just want to talk to you about just my baffling confusion around what the talking stage is in dating.
Uh-huh.
Because is it not just dating,
That's true.
right?
All right. Well, I'm equally
Right.
as confused because it's been
Awesome.
almost 10 years since I went out like on a first date.
Fair.
And really, gosh, this is going way back now. Tinder was like just about to become a thing when I met
Yep.
my current boyfriend. So
Those plenty of fish days.
that was like groundbreaking. All right. The POF.
Yep.
And it's kind of funny because now so many people meet over apps or online
Mm-hmm.
or through Instagram and various other like technological ways that
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, I'm no longer special.
Uh, Honestly, I feel you. I feel you. I've been on a dating app once in my dating life, and I was on Bumble for about 3 months there. I didn't survive on Bumble because I was like, this is just really weird. But in doing my research for this, I'm like, is this like dating trends or is it just dating app culture?
That's true. It could just be dating app culture. And I mean,
Yeah.
COVID really changed the way people
Mm-hmm.
date, right?
It did.
Like it almost became exclusively online. And
Mm-hmm.
so many people, where I think you're getting this talking stage from, is they literally couldn't meet up.
Mm-hmm.
So they had so much more time to just talk about stuff. And we're going to get into it later in the episode, but that has really defined this new trend of dating. But before we go there, what are you drinking today?
I have a ginger tea today. I
Ooh,
shook
very
things
nice.
up.
Very
And do
nice.
you want to know why I ended up with ginger tea?
Sure.
Because I'm out of peppermint tea.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. How will you cope?
I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'm just drinking ginger tea now
Oh, God.
until that one runs out.
Yeah. So, listeners, if you look at our show notes, you'll always see that we put the types of teas that we're drinking in the comments. For the past like 5 episodes, I don't think I've updated Rachel's because it's just been peppermint tea. And
Sup?
oh my God, I'm going to throw my future self off now when I have to write this and write in ginger tea. I won't know what's up.
I'm gonna say it's because I've been trying to take a break from caffeine because, I have most of my teas other than my herbal ones all have caffeine in them, but I only started doing that last week. So I really have no excuse. I really don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So what about you? What are you having?
Well, I mixed it up a little bit today. I'm having a lemon gelato oolong tea, and I
Nice.
like this one. It's just so smooth and almost creamy.
Lovely.
Yeah, little different. I like it. And my boyfriend was stealing a sip before we started recording here, and he ended up drinking a large portion of my cup. So I think
Well,
that
there
one's
you
a
go.
winner. I think it's a winner.
I think so.
Yes.
I think so. All right. Well, I guess going back to what we were talking about before discussing our teas, yeah, it was interesting when I was looking all of this up. If you guys hadn't guessed from the title, we are discussing modern dating trends. We are both in happy relationships. How did we end up here? Don't know. But I found it very interesting that I think a lot of the trends that are upcoming in 2022 are for the better compared to at least what the dating trends were in like the 2010s,
I
you
agree
know?
with this because any of the
Yeah.
like relationship experts or dating coaches, they were all kind of leaning towards like we feel very hopeful of where
Yeah.
dating is going. And I'm like, that is such a nice thing to hear in all the crazy shit we're dealing with right now. How nice is
Yeah.
it to know that people are connecting on deeper levels?
It's very nice to know because when I was in university, in the peak of the 2010s dating era and trends, situationships were significantly on the rise. And I swear, if I ever was faced with one of those again, I think I would actually just like leave the planet.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so situationship. So let's pause on that one for a moment.
Okay.
From what I saw in the research, they are on the outs. But can you throw
That's
like a
nice.
definition? Because like you mentioned situationships in a few of our episodes, and I'm like,
Okay.
what is that? Like I'm like I don't know what that is. What is a situationship?
So basically, it's worse than the talking stage where the other person, usually it's one person in the situationship wants a relationship. In my past, that was always me. Um, and then on the other end, they want the perks of a relationship, but not the label, so that they can still date around and talk around if they want to. So it's like you're in a relationship, but it's never going anywhere.
Okay, got
Yes,
it.
yes. And basically, that is so if they meet somebody else that they are more interested in, they can drop you and then be like, but we weren't in a relationship.
Got it. What did we used to call this?
Yes.
Because like I've definitely, same as you, Rachel, been that person like, let's have a
Yeah.
relationship, and they're like, I'd rather see other people. Um,
I think
what
friends
was
with benefits probably was the broad term for
yeah,
this.
yeah, but I feel like there's so many situations where you
Yeah.
really weren't friends. And like how I mean
Hmm.
that, right? Because like you would just meet and you'd be like, oh, we both have the intention of dating each other, but you weren't like friends.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was almost that conversation of like, are we exclusive? I feel like situationships has kind of replaced that non-exclusive title,
I, th-
I
I
guess.
like, I agree, but I disagree because it's like, it's almost like this whole other hell. It's almost become this thing with the existence of dating apps, I feel,
Yeah.
where there's so much perceived I don't know, I'm making it sound like you're in a store, like inventory, like so much you can work with and so many other people that you could date that like I don't really remember it happening, in the 2000s or hearing about it, like there was movies called like Friends with Benefits
Uh-huh.
and stuff because I think it wasn't that easy to just casually meet random people and be like, we're gonna hook up tonight and then we're gonna keep hooking up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like it kind of before, the classic, oh, we met at a bar thing or party. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it might have been like one night stand or like, hey, let's see each other. I feel like
Yeah,
this has always been around. Like it's not like this
I think
new
so.
concept, but I feel like it's finally just been given a label. And I was kind of having like a little
Yeah.
laugh to myself here because I'm just trying to imagine like does anyone actually okay, I need someone to tell me. Has anyone actually been like, yeah, I'm in a situationship with like so and so? Has anyone ever had that? I just need to know personally. Um
I
or is this
see
just more of like a toxic term that you kind of look back and you're like, oh wow, we were in a situationship.
see, I think I found what we used to call it. And this is going back to like the Facebook days. It's
Oh
complicated.
my god, it's complicated. Does Facebook
That's what
still
it
have
is.
that?
I think so. That's what it was. That's what it was, I think. Okay, there we go. We cracked the code. It's the it's complicated button on
Got
Facebook.
it. Okay. Glad we've put a definition to that.
All right.
But let's kind of go back to some current trends because apparently there is actually a lot of research on dating, which
I
I did
found it
not know
really
about that.
interesting.
I know.
That's cool.
And I feel like a lot of it was really positive, as we were saying before. What studies are showing is that shallow desires, so like just based on how attractive someone is physically, are
Mhm.
declining. And
I love that.
yeah, isn't that amazing? So when the people who were surveyed for this study,
Mhm.
83% of them wanted emotional maturity over 78% who said physically attractive. So,
Wow.
like, people are rating their priorities more on emotional stability. And I thought, this is progress, people.
That is
Good work.
progress.
Good
I love
work.
that.
Yes. And they kind of figured that this is coming about now because the study was from 2021. So it's really not that old.
Mhm.
That through COVID and the shutdowns and the pandemic and lockdowns, people really had to sit and reflect about
Yeah.
what they wanted with life. And I don't think this was just limited to dating. This was your work, your living situation, everything, right? Friendships. Like you
Mm-hmm.
kind of had a time to pause and analyze all these things and figure out what was
Yeah.
most important to you. So I kind of love that people are now like, you know what? I don't want the toxic relationship with, sure, maybe this person is ridiculously good looking and I'm very physically attracted to them. I want
Mm-hmm.
that emotional connection and someone who is emotionally mature to
Yeah.
handle situations and like have an intelligent conversation, right?
I love that so
Yeah,
much.
this is
And
good
there's like,
direction.
it is a good direction. And they had like a few terms about this too. So, what existed before, it was called like gray dating, where it's basically like people were very ambiguous about what they were looking for. It was always like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So, that's been on the decline. And what they've called it now is like intentional or mindful dating,
Yes.
where people aren't like, we're talking a lot about dating apps because I feel like that it just is how people meet others
Mhm.
nowadays, mostly, especially in cities. But less and less people are like swiping right just because.
Yep.
And like you said, are looking for people with those common interests and goals and motivations. And I feel like that makes so much sense because during the pandemic, you couldn't just go meet whoever, right? Like you kind of had to really think about like, okay, do I want to actually go meet this person? Because it wasn't safe
No.
to go meet a bunch of people. And I mean, you really weren't allowed to in most places. So I find that so fascinating. And another trend that's kind of emerged with this as well, and I don't know if you read about this, is dry dating,
I did
which
hear
is on
about
the
this and I
rise.
was like,
Yeah,
okay. I was like, all right,
it's
I'm here for
cool.
it, I
It's
guess. Like,
cool. So, what this means is it's a trend where people are moving away from that more traditional, like going to a bar or going for dinner and drinks for a first date, and more going for like more unique experiences, which I find is really cool because that's a good way to like determine if your interests actually align with each other. A great example I saw is if you want to go to the farmer's market and your date only ever wants to go to fast food restaurants, then maybe your priorities don't align.
yeah.
And I was like, interesting, because when you just are going for drinks, you don't really get to that nitty gritty, of like, do we actually like to do the same things on the weekend?
Yeah, exactly. And I was reading some articles by Laurel House, and she is a dating coach and relationship expert. Also, I would like to
Yeah.
know how someone like becomes a dating coach and relationship expert. Like that's an interesting journey.
Yes. Also, I was wondering what you meant by that because you like you had sent me your notes before and you had like the what she was and then in brackets also
I
how.
know,
And I was
right?
just like, is there something that I'm missing here?"
No, I'm just very curious about this profession.
Yeah.
Like,
I would love to
are
know.
you a psychologist or are you someone who's very experienced in dating and has crafted matchmaking? I don't know. I'm just wondering.
Mhm.
I have so many questions here. Okay, I've been in a
Me
relationship
too.
for a long time. Um, I'm curious about what's going on out there.
We should
Anyway,
email her.
yeah, I know, right? Okay, like we need to talk to you about how you became an expert on this subject. I feel
Please.
like everyone needs to know. Um,
Please.
anyway, so she kind of coined this term prioridating. And
Nice.
really what that is honing in on what matters. And again, kind of going back to, what is this talking stage that you weren't really sure about? I feel
Mhm.
like the pause that lockdown had put on us, the only thing people could do was really talk, right?
Mhm.
And so another term that had come up was hardballing. And really what
Yep.
that was people were getting to deeper conversations quicker. They're just
Mhm.
like, no, we're not talking about the small talk. We're not doing the fluff. We're like, where do you stand? What do you want? I feel like it's awesome and it's very like aggressive way to just like, aggressive in a good way. Sorry. I want to say that in a positive way. It's like a very good way to
Mhm.
get to know someone better. And
Mhm.
really figure out like, okay, are we going to work? Are we not going to work? Yes or no?
Yeah.
It's not so gray anymore. It's very black and white in every sense that dating could be.
We don't have time for that
No.
dancing around game shit anymore.
No, exactly, and
The
I feel
world
like some
almost ended.
people, like I know a lot of people have said like, "Oh, I feel like I've lost out on so much time," 2 years, 3
Mhm.
years worth of time, and so they're like, "I'm not wasting it." on
Yeah.
randoms here. Like, I want to find the person who's going to inspire me to be my best self. I'm going to be proud to date them, and they have meaningful traits that match mine, which I think is just like really awesome. And that is really what people, quote unquote, should be doing when they're looking
Exactly.
to be in a more long-term serious relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And just one thing I really saw on Reddit was people deciding whether they wanted to be with someone over their stance on COVID
Wow.
and also their political views.
Okay, you know what? The whole like people breaking up over political stuff right now
I get it.
is get it. I get
I
it.
get
I
it.
fully get it.
I'm like, I've seen stories about it. And I'm like, I understand this. I can see why people, especially breaking up over their stance on abortion.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of people, like they were in like, I've been in this relationship for 7 years or like 15 years. And I
Mm-hmm.
just found out that they were pro-birth and
Mm-hmm.
I ended it right then and there. And I'm like, wow, okay, like
Wow.
that is sticking to your guns. And, it's important though. We're not really
It
going
is.
down that road today on this episode, but you should be with someone who more or less has similar views as you
Mm-hmm.
because, okay, I'm putting the female or anyone who has a uterus lens on this. If your
Mm-hmm.
partner did not have similar views that it's your body and your choice, that might not go well if you guys get into a situation where
Nope.
things don't align, if you're catching my drift.
Oh, I get you. I get you. A few years ago, I actually, it was not the full reason, but it was pretty much half the reason I did break up with someone because of their political views. Did I tell you about that?
I do remember that. Yes.
Yeah. So he just, I don't really know how I want to get into this. I won't share too much, but he was, let's just say he was very right wing,
Mm-hmm.
but just way too much.
Yeah.
Just way. And I was like, all right, I'm going to just leave this room right now. Thank you. Good night. And it only lasted about 2 months. So I'm pretty proud of myself for that one.
Yeah, that's really good. So that's where I'm just like, wow, to the people who have been in relationships for like a year or more
Mm-hmm.
and like serious relationships. And they're like, you know what? Nope, you're not meeting my views. I don't feel safe with this. We're done. So,
Well, I just think
yeah.
that goes to show how much it wasn't a normalized thing to talk about politics
Mm-hmm.
or viewpoints in relationships. I feel like it's become more of a common discussion in your close relationships over the last like probably 5 or 6 years, if not a bit longer. That, of course, that would be something that would end relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it really sticks along that term of priority dating. And
Mm-hmm.
what the relationship experts are seeing from their clients is that they are out of the gate saying, I know me, I know my needs, I'm confidently, vulnerably, unapologetically aware of my needs.
Love it.
Right? And like that's what people should really be saying when they're going in and searching for a partner or new relationship is that they're being themselves, right? They're authentically being
Mm-hmm.
themselves and they're not going to compromise with that. So,
I love it.
progress, people. Excellent.
Progress. And I think kind of springing off of this was another trend that I really loved seeing. They're taking more of an exploratory approach to dating where people are becoming way less focused on dating a specific type, like their specific type.
Mm-hmm.
And they're more interested in exploring a variety of different people that they maybe wouldn't have a few years ago. And I think that's really great because it's just like that's opening so many doors for good relationships as opposed to falling into the same pattern.
Yeah, that is so true because how do you know if you like something if you've never tried it? Right? So
Exactly.
it's good. It's good to try out different people who you think like, you know what, at first glance, I didn't really catch my eye or interest me, but upon closer inspection, that really could be something special. And that really is going back to what people are doing is it's this more slow and intentional dating that will lead to longer and stronger relationships. People are not just jumping headfirst into like, okay, we're together. I'm hanging on. I got one. It's good. They're being like, you know what? I'm going to make sure that you're right for me. It's
Mm-hmm.
more that interview process now. And I remember like going on dates when I was younger, being like, oh my God, I hope they like me. I hope they like me. And like
Mm-hmm.
from my more older mindset, I'm just like, do I like you? Are you going to
Yes.
work for me? You're not the one who's just being interviewed. You're also interviewing that person.
Yep. So, do you have anything further on the current data, current trends? Because we both have some really funny terms
We
that
do.
I would love to discuss just because I don't understand what any of them mean.
I think just to wrap up the trends,
Yep.
like I said at the beginning of the episode, it was almost odd to meet your
Mm-hmm.
partner online when
Yep.
my partner and I first got together. And
Mm-hmm.
now 1 in 4 couples claim that they met online. And I don't think that number is high enough.
No.
I
I feel like some people are not telling the whole truth.
Yeah, or like, the sample size was off or something, but I swear a lot more people, like pretty much every other person you meet said like, "Oh yeah, I met my partner on a dating app or online."
Mm-hmm. It's becoming the rarity to meet them just out on the street.
Almost. And
Yeah.
that first date really changed
Mm-hmm.
in especially COVID times because it became more common that they would like go to a park or hang out
Mm-hmm.
on a patio. Kind of going back to what was it called? Dry dating?
Dry dating, yeah.
Yeah. So, restaurants weren't open. So you couldn't really go to the classic bar and have your first date there. So you kind of had to get more outdoorsy and creative.
Mm-hmm.
And then this other trend popped up, and I'm not really sure what I think about it, long term at
Okay.
least. And it was people going on virtual dates. Like, I get
Yeah.
it for safety, time, and money,
Mm-hmm.
but like, I'm just going to use a work example here. This year, going back into the office, I was meeting coworkers for the first time in person.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a
Mm-hmm.
very different feel from over the virtual
Yeah.
screen. So like I get it for that talking phase, especially when people couldn't go out
Mm-hmm.
and they were able to get to know each other that way. But I wonder
Mm-hmm.
like how long do people do that for? I'm just curious. I didn't really
Yeah.
find anything about it. I just kind of saw that like more people had virtual dates and that was becoming more of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious.
Yeah. Like I would only do that if I was still in the dating sphere. If it was like before I met somebody for the first time, just to
Yeah.
make sure that they were who they showed themselves to be.
Yes.
Because I think a lot of those accounts, if you're meeting someone online, are kind of like bot accounts or catfishing accounts that for like safety purposes. But beyond that, I feel like, yeah, you kind of need to just go meet them.
Yeah. And that actually brings me to the first term that I came across. It wasn't catfishing, it was kitten fishing.
Oh my God, I saw that too.
Did
It
you
was
see
so
that?
cute.
Yeah. So, catfishing, as we know, it's like a profile is out there and this person is literally pretending to be someone else. What kitten fishing is that person is still pretending to be themselves. They are themselves. But they are kind of like enhancing or not being absolutely truthful about
Yeah.
everything. So I feel like this virtual dating leaves a little room for that.
Yeah.
And that's like kind of after like, okay, you've met them and you feel safe and like you want to go meet in person. I think then you see if there was any kitten fishing going on.
Oh my God. So I read this, I feel like we saw this in the same article, but I was reading in this article where it was like millennials calling out Gen Z dating trend bullshit stuff. And they were like kitten fishing. And then it was like what we used to call it, the first 3 months of dating.
Oh my God.
I was just like, I was like, that's so bad. But yeah, I had a little giggle with that one. Kitten fishing.
Kitten fishing.
Can't say I experienced that
No,
before.
I don't think I ever experienced that. And I don't think I was ever kitten fishing. I wasn't the kitten fisher either, or whatever that way would go.
Ah, all
Yeah,
right.
that's a new one for me.
All right. Mine is orbiting,
Oh,
which is when somebody has ghosted you but continues to stalk all of your social media,
ah,
like
okay.
watching your stories and liking your posts, commenting and stuff.
Hmm.
I remember that was definitely a thing. Well, I feel like that's just become a thing because like Instagram
Yeah,
exists and stuff. It definitely is very annoying. because it's just like, why don't you just unfollow me?
Yeah, like
But then it's
why are you
also,
still involved when you won't talk to me?
yeah, I think with orbiting, when it's somebody like continuing to like your posts and even comment sometimes, that's weird. But guys, if it's just story watching, the amount of stories that I watch and not actually watch at the same time, they're probably not watching your story just because it's you.
Yeah, they're probably like doing that click through. That's what I do all the time.
Yeah. So I have definitely been orbited, probably have been an orbiter in the past. What about you? Were you ever orbited, Laura?
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
I think I've been orbited. I
All
probably
right.
orbited as well. I feel like we're all kind of guilty about
Yeah.
that because social media, everything like, oh, we're being so sneaky, but like there's a
But
trace
we're
right
really
there.
not. No, no. What's your next one?
My next term, okay, I found multiple terms for this, but I just pulled my favorite ones.
Okay.
Paper clipping, because it made me think of Clippy from
Oh,
the,
I love Clippy.
was it circa 95 Microsoft Word? People will
I
know.
love
If you know, you
Clippy.
know.
He
Uh,
was so
yeah,
cute.
Clippy and breadcrumbing. So
Mm.
there were multiple terms for this, but I'm just like, okay, guys, let's narrow it down. We don't need 20 terms for one thing. And this is kind of similar to orbiting, but a little bit different. So this is when someone comes back into your life only to feel good about themselves and then to leave again.
Rude.
I know. Oh, I feel like
Rude.
some names are coming up into my head here.
Same.
Oof.
Same.
I don't think I ever paper clipped anyone, but it said essential, like going back to like they give you just enough. So you're like,
Uh,
oh, they still care. And then they put you back down again. And really it's like just an ego thing for them.
this hurts.
Yeah, it does hurt. So
This
that
one
is paper
hurts.
clipping and breadcrumbing.
Yeah, let's leave that one there. That one hurts a bit too much. All right. So this is a term which we were pretty much already talking about, but the actual term is slow dating, which is taking extra time to get to know someone before going on a first date.
I
And I'm
like
like,
that.
I like it a lot. And I'm also like, why wasn't that more common
Yeah.
before? Why is this just like, this is a trend emerging very significantly lately? So, yeah, I love that one. I
Yeah.
have nothing to say other than go do more slow dating,
Yeah,
guys.
good for you guys if you're just taking your time, really getting to know someone before you like jump into the full-blown relationship. All
Exactly.
right.
Exactly.
Next term. This is a classic. I feel like we know this term very well. And I was doing this
Mm-hmm.
long before it was called ghosting.
You were just not calling.
No, oh my God. Okay, so obviously most people know what ghosting is. It's leaving without a trace. And I was famous for this.
Yeah.
Because I'm not someone who's good with confrontation. And
Fair.
when it came to dating, if I didn't like someone, I literally just never responded again. Later, it became ghosting. So I was just like, wow, I'm like the OG ghoster.
Love that for you.
Yep. I think I don't know if I can provide an explanation of why I did this. I think I just, it wasn't for me. And
It
instead
was
of,
just, it's the route.
yep,
It's the route you chose.
yep. And I'm going to kind of branch into the next term here, which is Caspering, because I definitely didn't do this because I was like, I don't want a confrontation, or maybe I just don't want to talk to you again.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the friendly alternative to ghosting by being honest and letting them down gently before you leave. I did not do that at all. I was just like, nah, I'm not even going to tell you
I
that this
love
isn't for me. I'm just saying like, I'm good. I don't want this to proceed any further. So I'm just going to cut you off.
I love that it's specified as the friendly alternative.
Well, when I first saw Caspering, I was just like, oh, okay, guys, like we don't need another term for ghosting. But then when I saw the actual definition of it, I was just like, oh, right, Casper the friendly ghost.
Nice.
What's your next term,
Okay.
Rachel?
So I have a term that actually flows with these as well, where I think it's somewhere between ghosting and caspering, and I would do this a lot. I have been ghosted. I never quite ghosted, but I did do this, and it's called the slow fade. Which
Slow
it's you're
fade.
not quite ghosting someone, but you're slowly fading out of their life. I would do that all the time.
See, okay, yeah,
You just start responding a little bit less. Yeah, I was a slow fader. I was
yeah,
a slow fader for sure.
yeah. I probably slow faded a few people, but like I was
Yeah.
definitely the ghost.
Yep.
And tables turned, people. I was ghosted as well. So like, you know, I
So there you go.
got mine. All right, I got mine.
You know, we've all been ghosted. We've all ghosted or did the slow fade.
Yep.
I feel like Caspering starts to come in when you're like emotionally mature and not not a college student
Yeah.
anymore. Ooh,
Me, you
all
want me to talk
right.
about my feelings? No, thank you. I'll just leave. I'll show myself out.
Absolutely. Absolutely not. It's just like, is this going to make you sad for at least a week? Don't care.
Yep.
Yep, that was mood,
Yep.
honestly.
All right. Next term. This one was an odd one, and I was like debating whether to include it, but I feel like we need to discuss it. And that is oystering.
That just sounds
It just
really
it
weird.
does sound weird. So bear with me here. This is what it is. It's someone who just got out of a relationship and they believe the world is their oyster. So I don't know if this is not so much a dating term, but I could see it as a dating term, or if it's something more just like this is how the person is behaving after a breakup, where they're just like, oh, I want to do anything. I'm so free. So that I get.
Yes.
Odd that it's called oystering. It's kind of a unsavory term.
Yeah, I'm a bit disturbed.
A little. Yeah, it's a little odd.
I'm a bit scared.
But then from a dating trend, I could also see it as like you're out of like a monogamous relationship and you're like, oh, I want to date a bunch of people, right? And I feel like maybe that's where you get those more situationships or the non-exclusives, right? So I'm like kind of up in the air about this term.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, that was a
Honestly,
new
I
one.
haven't heard of half of these.
No,
So.
me neither. I've heard of ghosting. That is really the only one.
Yeah, same. I've heard of breadcrumbing before, but that was about it. All right, so this one I included because I just love the play on words, and it's hesitating. Not hesitating.
Hesitating?
Hesitating. And this is also becoming a bit more common after the pandemic, where people are feeling indifferent towards dating, whether casually or seriously, because they're not sure if they want to get involved with another person given the uncertainty of the world. And honestly, fair enough.
I've never heard that in terms of dating before, but I have heard that in terms of like people deciding whether they want to have children or not.
Yes, I have too.
I'm very curious about this dating term though.
Me too.
Like why wouldn't you want to? Because like
I
of what's
guess
going
maybe
on in
the
the world right
emotional
now? Like it's just too
maybe
much?
like the emotional investment. I think it just might be too much.
Okay.
Okay, you know what? We'll do a cultural deep dive episode into hesitating.
Yeah, I feel like that
someday
needs to
in
be
the future.
unpacked more. Because like I know there are people who say like I am happy being single. And I think that that's a choice, and if that's what's right for you, excellent, right? Like I do love seeing that a little bit more, because I feel especially in the past everyone was just like, oh, to be happy you need a relationship. No, you don't, right? So I'm a little confused on the hesitating. I would just say like, no, I'm happy being single, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that one could be unpacked a little bit more.
We'll look into it in the future, guys.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah. Like, I feel like it could just be, like I said before, the people who are happy not being in a relationship for whatever reason, doesn't matter what the reason is. So I feel it's very interesting that it has a term now, but everything has a term now. And
honestly, dating app culture. I'm pretty sure half of these words came from like Bumble articles.
I think so. I'm pretty sure they did. I haven't heard them out on the street very much. My last funny term is Gatsbying.
Never heard of her. Never heard
As
of
in
that.
The Great Gatsby.
Love it.
And this, I had a little bit of a laugh, but I was also like, toxic trait. Where it's a targeted attempt to win over a specific person.
I feel like this was just my approach to dating.
Yeah. I was that person who'd be like, I like that person. I'm going to date them. So
honestly, that was us in our early 20s.
Yeah.
It was just like, look across the room.
That one. I used to do that all the time, right? Like,
yep. In a completely savory, above board way, guys.
Oh yes.
There was nothing. There was nothing
sketchy. Not sketchy. Just like, I'm attracted to that one.
Yes.
All right, Rachel, any more terms from you?
I have one, and I just find it really funny. It's vulturing.
What?
Do you want to take a guess to what that means?
Vulturing is. I'm picturing like vultures circling around someone.
You're kind of
Am I kind of close? Is it kind of like
you're
Gatsbying
getting
where
there.
you're like you want that person, like a specific person?
Sort of, but just in a bit more of an unsavory way.
Yeah, it sounds more unsavory than
Basically,
Gatsbying.
yeah, it means hovering around a relationship that is dying,
Oh.
coming to its end, hoping to pick up the scraps once it's over.
Oh my god. That's terrible. Don't do that, people.
Don't do that, but I just thought it was so funny. Why is there a term for this?
I feel like
Why
they're
does this happen enough that there's a term for it?
oh god. I'm sure it happens a lot, but like I can kind of I kind of feel that a lot of Hollywood movies are kind of based
Yes.
on this, you know?
A lot of them are. A
Like
lot of them are. See,
like
I feel like it's actually
the
not.
person returns to their hometown and like
Yeah.
they've got the failing relationship and then there's the high school sweetheart to sweep them off their feet.
So like a Hallmark Christmas movie?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I feel like this is actually probably more common than we want to believe it is,
Oh, I'm
which makes
totally
me
sure it is because like
sad.
I've definitely probably been as a teenager being like when they break up I'm gonna go for it. Like
Oh, I
I
definitely
definitely
did
know
that
that
as a
thought crossed my
teenager.
mind, but
Mm-hmm.
hearing it said that way, oh, that is
I
unsavory.
know. As a relationship is dying, you're just waiting in the wings.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that was my favorite word, just because I'm like, who coined this? Who? Why?
I don't know.
Why
Someone
did
gave
you
that some
coin
thought
this?
though.
They did, but points for creativity. I mean, like that's a good use of the word vulturing.
Yeah, yeah, good imagery.
Because in a way that is what you're doing. Don't do that, guys.
Mm-mm.
Stick with the slow dating.
Yeah, you need the
With
slow
the
dating.
slow
Let
dating.
someone emotionally heal from
Yeah,
another relationship before they jump into a new relationship. You will probably yield
baffling.
better results in the long term.
Well, I think with this one they're not really focusing on that.
No, no.
No. Anyway, to our listeners, I would love to hear from you if you have had any experience with any of these terms or have any others that we missed here because man, there's a lot out there and I'm apparently not hip because I learned all of these today.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of these terms are the way of dating as fetch is to mean girls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just not going to happen in our vocabulary, but they certainly are fun.
They are.
So, Rachel, as someone who's been in a relationship, what's important to you? Because, like, since the trend has been more honing in on what matters to
Yeah.
you?
Well, I did see yours before. So I selected 3 different ones because I definitely share yours as well. So I tried to pick some that are important to me that I also know probably have some importance to you too. And that's similar interests
Yes.
so that we, have things to talk about. I enjoy ambition
Mm-hmm.
and adventure.
Ooh, adventure.
Yeah. Does like kind of in any way, they can be travel, they can be food, they can be like going for hikes in our area and stuff. Just, keeping things fun
Yeah,
and
exactly.
fresh.
And I think you highlighted it really well in your dating example,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where
Mm-hmm.
you're the person who maybe wants to get up every Saturday morning and go down to the farmer's market and get
Yeah.
fresh fruits and vegetables, where the person you're dating wants to get fast food for every meal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, having similar interests is
Yeah.
definitely important. To me, I was trying to think back to my priorities when I was younger, which were
Yeah.
very short-sighted. I was like, you are physically appealing to me.
I
That's
enjoy
good
your
enough. That is
shoulders.
good enough.
Your
I don't
back
think you'll
is
kill me.
nice.
Don't seem like a
You are not a serial
yeah.
killer.
You
We
don't
could go
seem
for
like
a
a
hike and I wouldn't be scared.
yeah. You don't seem like a serial killer. You're physically attractive. That's good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And now being 30, I'm like much more about the long term. So to me, the things that are important are the person is self-reliant and financially stable. I work hard for my money and to do things in my life. I want a partner who's going to do the same. And okay, I have a small joke because after this episode, my boyfriend and I are going out on a date. And I was like, oh,
Yep.
honey, are you taking me out? I'm like, are you my sugar daddy? And he's just like, I wouldn't go that far, Laura. I would say I'm more like your sweet low daddy. But in all seriousness, like, we respect each other because we're both able to provide and take care of ourselves. And then that gives us the ability to, want to take care of the other person, not so much
Yeah.
out of need. So that's very important to me. Another thing, especially as I've gotten older, is making sure you're in the same life stage as your
Oh,
partner.
100%.
And
100%.
I know some people who have large age gaps in their relationships, and like, hey, if that works for them, awesome. But I think for a majority of people, I bet that can be really difficult, especially if you're not in the same life stage. And this goes for like all brackets. If it's someone dating someone older, you might be wanting kids in a family where that older person is just like, you know what, I already did that, or like, I'm not interested in that. And then same thing on the younger scale, the person could be all about wanting to be partying and out, where the older person is just like, you know what, I like to stay in. I want to think about marriage and a family. So that is something that I think is fundamentally very important. And then also along those lines are life goals. I think it's important that you have a similar vision of how you want your life to be, right?
Yeah, I feel like the similar goals and ambition kind of hold hands nicely.
Exactly.
So, yeah, modern dating trends.
Yep.
But I will say I was shocked by our findings more just with my complete lack of knowledge of what this actually was.
Yeah, I must say I was pleasantly surprised. I'm really glad people are making a more conscious effort to think about who they are dating and what they actually want. I think that's really positive, and it also gives me hope for
Same.
people being in happy, long-lasting relationships.
Same. I wish like my young university self was going through this type of dating stuff. Because let me tell you, the dating trends in like 2014, 2018, not a great time.
No.
Not a great time. There was that whole lot of but what are we?
Yes.
Conversations going on. Which the second that you had to have that conversation, you knew that it was ending. Because you're like, what are we? And then they're just like, I thought that we were just acquaintances, even though you've met my mother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's not go back there.
Let's not.
No.
Go back to our disaster dates episode. You can learn all about it.
I know. If you want to hear about our tragic dating histories and funny stories, definitely go check out that episode, Disaster Dates from season 1. And I feel like any of the relationship episodes that we have posted, there's going to be a funny story in there for sure.
Most likely.
About a tragic dating moment.
Yeah. Yeah, we actually are pretty tame in this one.
Yeah. Yeah, this was good.
We kept our stories brief, but you do know that we have been ghosted, and we have also done the ghosting and the slow fading. Not so much the Caspering.
No, I don't think I've ever Caspered anyone. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, neither have I. It's okay. I'm with you. I'm with you with this one.
I'm not brave enough to do that, so good on you if you are.
I'm very impressed. So, yeah, if you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or a 5-star rating on Spotify. It would really help out the show if you would do so. And if you would like to contact us directly, you can do so by email. Our email is teawithlaurarachele@gmail.com.
And with that, live like tea.
Live like tea.